Alright guys, so in this video I want to show you how to create a Java on your GUI or graphic user interface, and how to make the buttons works or functions. So for example, we have two buttons. This is Java GUI, right? And we click me, it says wake up. Or do clear, it's clear. So that's what we want to do. So we want to create a new button next to this. Okay. So first, how do we add the buttons? So this is Java code to show you pretty much this hello dialog here. This is JFrame. So I use JFrame line 18 and set the title to hello dialog. JPanel pretty much just where the pink is. So if you see line 21, it says panel.set background color pink. And I have JText field, which is text box equal to new text field, and I set the width to 50. So that's JText field. I have two buttons, click me button and clear button. Alright, so to make the button works, you need to implement this code. So this is for the clear, and this is for click me. So if I want to reorganize this a little bit, I can just make it at the bottom of click me, which do the wake up, clear, set text to empty. And that's pretty much all the components that I have, right? One is JFrame, two is the panel, JPanel, three is JText field, four is the click me button, JButton, five is clear buttons. So that's it. Now this just create all the instances, but you didn't put them all together. Then the following code here just try to show you how to put them all together. So first we need a layout. There are many layouts. This one called Flowlayout means if I add text box first, text box will go first, and then buttons, and then clear buttons in this order to the panel. Alright, so we see that panel are the pink areas. I add other components to the panel. And then the panel just being added to the frame. So that's why frame just fill in. And by default, frame is using a border layout. Okay, border layout set it to center. That's why it just fill in into center. Then you set it visible. This frame is showing up. Set the size. So this is my screen resolution setup. So that's why when I run this program, it's going to just fill in the full screen. Set default close operations. That means when you close, it's just like that, exit the program. So this whole thing being created inside the constructor class name button dialog pop-up. Okay, so in the main, pretty much just instantiate this class to use. Alright, now I'm going to so I'm going to show you how to add the new button. So to add a new button, pretty much just create another JButton. So let's name button as submit equals to new JButton and say submit. So what would submit do? Submit will authenticate the user. I'll let the user type in something. So I need to add an action. Like this one, we'll just create a submit button. But by itself, it's not going to show onto the frame until you add. So I'm going to add the buttons next to button clear. So with the flow layout, we're taking care of that. So now it's going to show up on the panel, and the panel being added to the frame. Then the button will show up. So we can just run this to check. So that's the submit button. But there's no action to it yet because we did not add an action to it. So one of the methods of the button, you can do add action listener. Alright. This is just like the way you do get text, set color, get color, right? Regular classes that you create. This is just add action to it. Now, if you think about add action listener, there's so many actions going on in the same buttons. So that's why we need to invoke an interface. And interface is pretty much just a where you need to implement your own action. And this interface has the method named actionPerformed, which is an abstract method. An abstract method means the method that's not implementing anything yet, so that's why you need to implement it. So that's why we like to have this action listener, which is an interface. And this interface, whenever you use an interface, you're required to implement action performed. In this case, this interface, you require to implement action performed because this is only one method that have in that interface. Okay. Alright, so this is a point where we're going to implement. Now when I hit submit, we already know that from the previous two code here, the code for click me, if you read this code, we do set text because this invoke the text box, and also we print the word wake up onto the console. When I click wake up, go to console and set to text box. And if I do another one, set it to empty, which is clear, so it's just clear the text box. But now this is different. I want to show you how to take the user input from here. Like if I type tennis, I hit submit, it should take the value of tennis in. And you can manipulate that, right, in the term of authentications or something like that. So let me show you then. I'm going to get text instead, right? So text box should have setter and getters, so I should get text. And when I get text, I can just store it into a string, right? User input. So now I have these values that I can do several things. If I have a method to do authentications, it can be in different classes, it can be in the same class, right? I can just do that. But I'm going to show you first that this actually works by just print it out to the console. So we're going to run this program with the new action button submit. And I'm going to show the area of the console here that you can see that when I enter my name, tennis, it show up. change the text, hello, so it's going to show up because I get the text and print it out. So that means you can do anything with this now. So let's say I want to make a program to do authentications. If you remember, we were talking about quizzing in this. We create a new class, name Authentication. Okay. Alright, so I create the authentication class with the method authenticate username. We have just username now, which is going to take in the parameters. So if the name equals to, let's say I'm going to use, normally you're going to read this from database or somehow, or text file, right? Which you're going to do string username for now, just to test that this is the correct username, for example. Okay. So if it equals to this, it's return true, otherwise say false, right? I don't need to. So I can do the statics here if I want to just call the class without instantiate it and do dot like math does square root, right? Square root is a statics, so I'm gonna leave it like that. In that case, you need to make this statics, right? Because you use static inside the statics. So I'm done with the authentication. I put on the side here. Then you can see that. So this is a code of authentication, which now when I do submit, it's going to authenticate, right? Like if you design authentication in a way that will take this, it's good because it's not involving with any system.out.print, right? Then I can just interface directly to my GUI swing here. So get text. I have user input here. This is when I say authentication dot authenticate username and pass in the user input, correct? And I say alright, so if this is true, because it's going to return true, and you can also use the shortcut one, question mark. If it's true, you're going to do set your text box back, because you only have the text box that interface to the user. Set text, right, to welcome. Right, so I think we not really want to look at this anymore. And this is else. Else is use colon. And this is going to say fill authentication. Alright, welcome can say welcome plus username if you want to. User input. Or another way, you can just use if, okay, and do just when it's true, you do that, right? If it's true, you do this.